His primary objectives were to determine 1. The effect on arithmetic achievement taught via English language to children with L1 English, and 2. The impact of revising Irish on the level of English achievement. This investigation found that teaching arithmetic through Irish language results in retardation in problem arithmetic, but not mechanical arithmetic. At the same time, the other result was that exposure to Irish language had an impact on learning English, and this impact was negative. For example, the English Language Policy Survey of Jordan, as reported by Harrison et al. 1975, and again reported by Ibrahim 1975, and again reported by Tucker 1975. Then from there, let's talk about the other purpose. The other purpose is to test hypotheses. So, sociolinguistic surveys can be used for testing hypotheses. How does this go? Some sociolinguistic surveys are conducted in order to test hypotheses about the relationships between social structures and language use. That is, to test the relationship between social structures and the relationships themselves. Now, these relationships are concerned with language use. Which category of the social group, use which language, and what is the relationship between this choice of language and the social group? What is the relationship? And this takes us back to the issues of Labov. Labov 1966 on New York City, where he tested the hypothesis that variations in the pronunciation of New York City English was a function of social stratification in society. It was a function of the social divisions in the society. You know, social divisions are there in the society. Some people are of a higher class, some people are of the middle class, the others are of the lower class. That kind of stratification is very, very important because it also leads to specific choice of language use. That is why sometimes locally in Malawi here, if you take the use of Chichewa and you are speaking typical Chichewa as that spoken in Lilongwe, Nkoma, as that spoken in Lilongwe, Zenza, that spoken in Dowa, Chiwere, you be referred to as somebody who is speaking traditional Chichewa. You are speaking traditional language. But when you speak the same Chichewa in a manner that you show some differences, you are in Blantyre City and you speak Chichewa that is applicable to Blantyre City, you will be looked at as a person who is belonging to a different category in the social group. And therefore, such small differences are very, very important. And the hypothesis that can be tested there is whether people speak the same language in the same way without the demarcations of their social categories. That is, whether one is highly educated, is employed, has been brought up in the city, or has been brought up in the village, all of them can speak the language or Chichewa in the same way. That can be a hypothesis to be tested. And this is similar to what Labov did in New York City. And the formality or casualness of the speech situation is also very, very important because it signals whether one is of this social group or that social group. Now, his data clearly supported the hypothesis that variations exist in the use of language depending on the categories of the people as regards their social boundaries. Now, let's proceed with another purpose of sociolinguistic surveys, and this is about language promotion. Language promotion, this is typically about decision making. This is about decision making because it entails that there are many languages in the society, and then as people who are experts in language planning, you try to look at the functional categories of the languages and begin to specify which language is going to perform which function. When that is done, then you are actually looking at the promotion of language, because at the end of the day, you would want to attach a certain function of language to a specific language. So that language will be designated for that particular function, which no other language will have to do it. So you have to be aware of this. Now, sometimes a survey is carried out so that the data could be used to create or validate an opportunity to promote the surveyed language. An outstanding example on this is the sociolinguistic survey of Barcelona by Badia that was carried out between 1964 and 1965, as reported by Robinson in 1975. He distributed 22,000 questionnaires, which amounted to 1.4% of the city's population. And about 3,400 completed questionnaires were retrieved. Quite a bulky one. The goal of the survey was to obtain information about the status of Catalan language in Barcelona, and that is in Spain. Now, respondents were asked about their knowledge and usage of Catalan language, and about their attitude towards its use. The other goal was to stimulate public interest in Catalan language. This large sample was meant and intended to reach out to many homes, that is, to reach out to as many people as possible, and hence inspire as much commentary as possible. The result is that Catalan language is changing in the direction of greater public use. This is put presently, but otherwise, looking at the time in which this was done, 1964 to 65, we would say the result was that Catalan was changing in the direction of greater public use. So Catalan was becoming more popular than before. That was about the promotion of language. So if this was the result, that Catalan was changing, it means that a decision would be made that since Catalan was changing to greater public use, it means that it had a higher affinity, and therefore, if the decision would be to make Catalan a national language, that would be possible. It would not be a problem at all. Now, let's look at the last aspect.